Perfect. Well, as people continue to come in, I want to go ahead and get us started. And we are recording so that we can share this at a future date as well. So if you have any friends who missed it, feel free to tell them, don't worry, it'll be available again. And we just wanted to go ahead and welcome you all to the very first STARS College Network Week. So we're very excited. We have programs every single evening of this week for everyone to attend, and every program is going to focus on a different topic of the college search process, the college application process, and then also what life on some of our campuses is like as a student, especially a student maybe coming from a rural or small town background. So we are the Small Town and Rural Students Network, or the STARS College Network. And I want all of us to have the opportunity to introduce ourselves as the panelists on this presentation, and then go ahead and check into the other presentations the rest of this week. And also we have presentations every single month that you can learn about our different schools and different topics. So for today, my name is Marjorie Bentley. I am a Senior Associate Director of Admissions at the University of Chicago. I am originally from a pretty small town in North Georgia called Suwanee, Georgia. Back in the day, it used to be a lot smaller than it is now. But I went to the University of Chicago for undergrad and grad school. I've been on campus for a long time, and it was a really big transition. And I am always happy to talk about that transition from small town Georgia to the third largest in the United States. But we're going to talk about each of our different paths maybe a little later on in some of our other sessions. For this one, we want to jump into a lot of content, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Derek at Vanderbilt University to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Derek Nido. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am a Senior Assistant Director and Admissions Officer for Vanderbilt University. We are located in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. I actually did my undergraduate degree at Texas A&M University, which is located in a college town right in the heart of Texas. And then also did a master's degree up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But I'll pass it over to Risa to introduce herself.
Thank you, Derek. My name is Risa Tewksbury. I am the Director of Midwest Admission at the University of Southern California. We're located in Los Angeles. I did my undergraduate and graduate work at USC, and I'm excited to be here with you today. I did not grow up in a small town because I was from Southern California, but we moved to the Midwest and I raised my kids in a small town in central Illinois. So certainly have that small town perspective, and excited to talk and share with you this evening. I'm going to turn it over to Trinidad.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Trinidad Carney. I'm the Associate Director of Outreach at MIT. MIT is located in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which is right across the river from Boston. I have a little bit of a different background from everybody here, because while I did grow up in a small town, it was actually abroad, born and raised in Switzerland. I went to do my undergrad in the Netherlands, and I actually ended up moving to Boston for grad school. So while I can't speak to the lived experience of coming from a rural small town US background, I can definitely speak to the experience of transitioning somewhere to new, navigating a college process that might be unfamiliar to you. So excited to kind of give my perspective on that side too.
So the STARS College Network, what is it? That's probably a question you've asked yourself if you've gotten emails from us, if you've heard anything about it in the news, anything like that. So the STARS College Network is a group of 16 colleges and universities who are working together to help students like you, students from rural or small town high schools, navigate the college search process, the application process, and then to find the best place for you when it comes to college and to thrive on a college campus somewhere. So it is a little bit about those 16 schools. We want you to get to know us. We want to get to know you, but at the same time, we want to better illuminate what the entire college process is going to look like, no matter what school you might be looking at, whether it's our 16 schools or any other school out there. And it's going to work a couple different ways. So one way that we want to do this is by providing a lot of really good information through webinars like this. This week, like I said, we have a session every single evening. We also are hosting sessions every single month. So you can always tune in. You can always learn more about our different schools, or about specific parts of the college process, like the search process, or writing your essays, or applying for financial aid. What is a career in STEM like? What is a career in a humanities area like? We're going to cover all of that throughout these webinars and these virtual resources. Another really great resource that we want is we want to bring you to many of our campuses. That's going to look like things like a fly-in program or a summer program where you get to come and experience life on a college campus. Those are by application only, and you'll see those applications populate on our website when the time comes. You can apply, you can spend some time on one of our campuses and really get a good feel for what's it like to live in a dorm and eat in the dining hall and attend a class on one of our campuses. Other things that you'll see through the STARS College Network are opportunities to take college level courses through Schoolhouse and Khan Academy. And I don't want to talk too much about that right now because we'll talk about that during our session here today. And opportunities for current college students at our institutions to do things like internships back home, maybe in their hometown or in other rural or small town areas. And building relationships with businesses so that students do have opportunities to not only go to one of our amazing 16 schools, but also maybe return home and give back to your community in that way. So these 16 schools are all kind of listed here, but if you are interested, there's more information on our website. You can click onto every single school. You can learn more about their involvement in the STARS College Network, as well as a bunch of links to all of their resources. Highly encourage you to check that out at the end of today. That's a little bit about STARS. If you have any further questions, please email us anytime, but we want to jump into the content of why we're here today and help illuminate a bit more of what the college search process will look like. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Derek, now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So obviously, one of the big questions to kind of ask is, what do you think college is? And obviously a little bit more of a rhetorical question. You're welcome to type something in the chat if you'd like. But moving kind of on in terms of what is college on the next slide, college is not just a classroom. It is a place to learn. It is a place to do research. It's a place to meet more people. It will challenge you in ways that you've never experienced before, maybe in high school or in the community in which you're from. And it really can be a very formative experience of developing you both intellectually, professionally, and personally, as well as providing you opportunities and resources that in most cases are unlike which ones that you might have at the current high school which you're from, or the current community that you're coming from. And these resources, this diverse collection of resources on college campuses is there to really help you in being able to further your goals and further your eventual career. So on the next slide, as we're kind of taking a step into looking at colleges, considering what we might be looking for, I think it's really important for you to really take a step back and get to know yourself through this process and be thinking about yourself in this process. You are the person who will be on this journey. You will be going to one of these institutions. You'll be experiencing these things. You're going to be the one in the classroom. And while your friends or your family might have their opinions or their thoughts about where you should go and what you should do, the decision is really, and the decision and the thought and the experience, the person that will be experiencing it is really you. And so as you're thinking about what is going to be the best fit for you, what kind of colleges might you be looking at, really be taking a step back to think about what you might want to do in general. You know, you may not know exactly what you might want to major in, for example. So maybe choosing a school that might have those options or those abilities for you to be able to explore might be important to you. And maybe if you are having trouble trying to figure out a major, thinking about the things that you are interested in doing, what your favorite subjects in school are, what you might be interested in. Thinking as well from maybe a family aspect that while, even though you are the one that's going to be experiencing this, knowing that you're going to need support from family and friends back home, whether that is financial support, maybe that is emotional support. But what factors are really most important to you in this search? Is it the financial aid? Is it how far away from home is it? What other kind of factors might be important to you as well? And really thinking about in general, not completely the things that you want, but the things that you need, and kind of making that list. So what are those things? Kind of getting to know yourself in this process, what could that be? So considering what kind of colleges are out there and which kind of college you should be looking at, there's obviously a lot of things and a lot of different factors to consider. So this is not an exhaustive list. You have lots of things to really consider in this process, but a couple of things that I always like to point out in terms of the types of colleges that you might be looking for. Number one is obviously the academic focus or programs that they offer. Does that college or university offer what you're looking for? Does it have the program that you need to be able to further your career? Considering other things like the size of the school, and keeping in mind as well that just because a college might be very large, within the academic program that you're wanting to pursue, you could find a much smaller, tight-knit community even within a large university campus, for example. Also, what kinds of student life options are there? Do you want to continue playing a sport, or are there particular student organizations or things that you might be interested in that you would like to continue that you did in high school, or maybe perhaps that you would like to explore and that you have interest in that maybe you didn't get to do in high school? Thinking about as well the selectivity of the schools that you are going to be putting on your list. You really should have, and I think it would be very advisable for many of us to say that you should really have a pretty decent list in terms of the level of selectivity. Schools like the ones that are here today talking with you, we obviously have high selectivity, but knowing as well that you might need to pick some schools that you know for sure that you would be able to get into, and that you will have a home come the fall of your first semester or first year of college. And then as well as kind of diving into some of the more specifics about maybe the quality of facilities that you might be looking for, maybe academic advising for the program that you are considering, and then support services. Is there a student health center on campus in case you get sick? Are there people to talk to in case maybe you're having some homesickness away from home? And then diving maybe even just a little bit further and looking at maybe for your specific program or for that university in general, how many students within that college or university stay to their second year? How many graduate within 4 years or within 6 years? On the next slide here, kind of taking that a little bit of a step further and looking at the different universities that you have, colleges and universities that you have options to. And so to kind of break a few of these down for you as you're thinking about it, especially if you haven't particularly looked at this yet, you have both public and private universities. Public universities here are what we would maybe call in-state universities. They're funded by the state government in which they reside in. So if you're a student within that state and going to that public university, your education is essentially subsidized. It's being paid for partially by the state itself, by the state government itself. Also thinking about that, if you're looking at a public university that's out of the state in which you live in, thinking about the fact that there may be some additional cost or some additional fees that may come with that, because the state isn't necessarily subsidizing your education, but also taking a step further and looking a little bit closer at universities to see that there are some public universities out there who provide scholarships or other financial support to make, even though you would be an out-of-state student, perhaps, to be able to make it more affordable for you and maybe bring it down to an in-state price in your current state, or at least in a very comfortable situation for you in general. And then on the flip side, kind of looking at a private university. Private universities are not funded by the government. They are by the state government. They are independent. They are privately funded. They can be large research institutions, or they could be small liberal arts colleges. There's kind of everywhere in between when it comes to both public and private and in terms of the size. Also considering in your search, are you looking at a 4-year university? Are you looking at a 2-year university? And within the 2-year universities, are you looking at a community college perhaps to kind of maybe get started on your journey? Maybe you'd like to stay a little bit closer to home, take some of your core curriculum classes, and then eventually transfer to a larger university where you could pursue your bachelor's degree. Or maybe perhaps you're looking at a trade or a technical field or a vocational school. Those are all kinds of things to consider within this search in general. Also kind of thinking about the type of university or type of college it is. Aside from it being public or private, is it a liberal arts institution? Meaning, is the curriculum, is the degree in which you're pursuing, is it a well-rounded degree? Are there a lot of options for you to be able to pursue different interests that you have? Or could it be a state university that's a land grant that kind of has a focus and has a goal in terms of what it's hoping to provide the state in terms of different professions, in terms of different professionals, and in terms of the services as well that they may provide to the state too, is what a land grant university would usually cover. And there even is a private land grant, for example, as well. So you have a lot of options to consider in terms of the types of universities and colleges that are out there, the types of programs that they offer. But again, kind of coming back to you and thinking about what is it that you are looking for, what is going to make the most sense for you. And in the next slide, looking a little bit further into this, of considering what perhaps could be your learning style, for example. What kinds of classrooms are you considering? Are you looking for something small? Are you looking for something large? Could you thrive in a smaller or a larger classroom experience? Are you looking for a university that has those big athletic programs like an NCAA Division I school that participates in the Big Ten or the Southeastern Conference or the Pac-12, for example, that maybe perhaps you're not participating in those athletics, but maybe you're going to the games and having that experience. Are you looking for a university that has a big Greek life scene? Is that important to you? Are you looking, what kind of campus culture are you looking for? Are you looking for a really inclusive environment? Are you looking for one that kind of blends in to the city or into the area in which it resides? There are still out there some universities and some colleges that are single gendered, all male or all female institutions. So is that something perhaps that you might be looking for, or are you looking for a co-ed institution? Are you looking for, in terms of size, a small, a medium, a large size university? Even within a small or medium-sized university, it could still be large enough to where maybe you don't know every single person that's there. Maybe you are meeting new people every day. And then as well as considering the actual setting and geographic setting of that school. I always think, and I always try to remind people that this is not a decision that you're making for yourself for the next 10 or 20 years, just because you are deciding to go to a university that may be in a particular geographic area. That's the next 4 years of your life. It doesn't mean that you have to, get a job there and perhaps raise a family or anything like that. It can really be kind of more of an area or a place that you would really like to experience or that you think is really interesting. So, within either a suburban or an urban or a small town or college town, where is it located geographically? Do you want to be in the mountains? Do you want to be close to a beach? Do you want to be close to a Great Lake? Do you want to be close to a national park? Do you want to be in the city close to a huge international airport? What are the things that are most important to you? What kind of setting would you like to see yourself in and experience for the next 4 years of your life? And then kind of taking it even maybe a further step forward in terms of you're going to be, studying at this university, but how are you going to be living as well? Are you going to live on campus? Are you going to live off campus? Is there an on-campus requirement for just the first year, or is it for all 4 years? And kind of how does that kind of correlate with the campus culture and the campus environment? And as well as if you are going to a university, for example, that's in a city, and you would have to move off campus for your first year, things to consider would be like, what is the average rent price around the area? How hard is it, or how easy is it to find a place to live? All those kind of factors to kind of consider there. As well as I kind of mentioned this earlier, but what kinds of activities and what kinds of experiences can you have on that campus? You know, is there a particular club or organization or passion or interest that you have that maybe you would like to continue on from high school, or that you didn't get to experience in high school that you'd like to be able to see yourself doing in college? These are all things to really consider and things to kind of further research and move into as you're kind of considering the colleges that you'd like to put on your list. And so from there, and going into the research piece of it, I'm going to go ahead and pass the floor over to Risa, who's going to talk a little bit more about what that research of different colleges and universities may look like for you, and what would be an effective research search for you.
Great. Thank you, Derek. When you've considered all of those things that Derek just talked about, what do you want out of your college? The next step is, well, how do you actually research the colleges? How do you find out if they have those things you're looking for? Are they a big school, a small school? Do they have the environment that you're looking for? The first thing you want to do is ask people. It doesn't matter where you are in your process. You could be very early in high school. You could be, approaching the end of your junior year and you're really right into that search. Doesn't really matter where you are in this process. You can begin to investigate college options. And the first thing we'd suggest is that you talk to people, talk to your counselors, your teachers, family and friends, admission counselors that are visiting or, offer opportunities for you to meet or greet or have conversations with them, but also professionals in your area. Maybe you've kind of decided, you might want to pursue medicine or engineering, or, you really like the interaction you've had with your dentist at the dentist office, and you think maybe you want to pursue dentistry. Ask those professionals, what was their college journey? How did they get to the position that they are in today? And that can help inform some of the things you might be looking for in your college selection choice. But also in terms of your research, you have great online resources. There's virtual programming like this event this evening. There's regional and high school visit opportunities for you, and visiting colleges as well. And I want to dive into each of those a little bit further. So if we can go to the next slide. So online resources. First, there's a lot of national organizations like the STARS College Network that you're experiencing this evening. We'll have a number of different sessions. We'll have college nights where you can actually log in and learn about specific colleges in our network. There's 16 colleges that you'll be learning about through this process. There's also QuestBridge. Many of you may get invitations to participate in QuestBridge. That's a program that on a national level can help you with your college search program. And I believe there's about 38 colleges that are partners with QuestBridge. There's the Hispanic Scholarship Fund, Jack Cook, Posse. Many of these organizations you may hear of through your high school. They may also contact you directly. They get your name and contact information, and they may be reaching out to you directly through postal mail. There's also a lot of community-based organizations. Maybe you've been involved in AVID or TRIO, or you're involved in one of the Palouse Pathways, or a local organization like Upward Bound that has opportunities for you to learn more about colleges. So we encourage you to take advantage of those online resources, the programs and events that they will be offering as well. Also, college search websites. The College Board's Big Future website, I've got the link there on the screen for you at bigfuturecollegeboard.com. You can put in a lot of those factors that Derek was talking about. Are you looking for something specifically on the East Coast or West Coast? Do you want a big town and urban setting? Or do you want more of a small town or a college town environment? Is climate a concern for you? Are there particular majors that you know are on that short list for you? I don't want you to get too hung up on what major you want, because the national average is you'll change your mind 3 times while you're in college, and that doesn't count between now and your first day of college. So give yourself some space on that. But if you have narrowed it down to a handful of different possible career options, you can enter those on a Big Future and help start that college search. Also, the U.S. Department of Education's College Navigator, CapEx, and of course, individual college websites. So let's talk about a little bit what you would look for on those college websites. First off, majors and minors. Do they offer what you're looking for? If you know you've narrowed it down that you want to do a pre-med program, do they have pre-med advisement at the colleges that you're looking at? Or maybe you have a particular interest in the arts and you want to study music or dance, or you want to study theater or the filmmaking, or maybe you want to be an engineer and there's a particular type of engineer. The school I work for, we've got 33 types of engineering, but if you said agricultural engineering, that's not one of those that we offer. So you want to find the type of college that offers those majors and minors, and you can find that on the college websites. The admission requirements, what are they looking for from you? Are there particular classes that you would need to have in order to be admissible to that college or to that major? Or do they have specific requirements in terms of testing policies? Do you need to take an SAT or ACT? Many colleges are now test optional or test blind, but that's something you'd want to pay attention to. Is that something that you will need to prepare for that particular college? Also, admission requirements, I mentioned the arts. If you are looking to pursue an art, many of those departments or majors will ask for portfolios or auditions. What will be the requirements given that college and your particular major interest? Estimated cost calculators. How much it will cost for you and your family for you to attend a college is obviously a very important factor. This is an opportunity for me to plug a great Stars Network event tomorrow night. Same time, same channel. You can join us at 7 o'clock Central Time for our financial aid workshop and learn more about that. But colleges all across the country are all required to have a net price calculator where you can get an early estimate of your financial aid eligibility. And we'll go into more about that tomorrow night, but that's also something that you can be looking at on those websites. Also, scholarships and financial aid opportunities. Do they meet full need? Do they provide merit-based scholarships? If they do you need to do a separate application for those merit scholarships, or is it based on the application for admission? Those are some important things that you can find on the websites as well. Admitted student profile. You can see a profile of what was the description or the information about the students that were admitted in the prior year. How many applications? How selective was it? Is there an information piece about the type of GPA or rigor of program that a typical student would have? Also, clubs and activities. Derek mentioned you may be looking at that college because you wanted to play D1 or Division I sports, or you want to be a spectator and go to a school with a lot of school spirit. Well, if that's important to you, you can find that on those college websites as well. Maybe you want to play an instrument and be in the symphony orchestra, or you want to be in a marching band. Does the college offer those opportunities? So think about the culture, what you're looking for in your campus. And also student support services will also be listed on their website. Do they provide tutoring services? Do they have a first generation support center or support centers for students with various backgrounds or learning differences? Those kinds of things, and academic support are all things that you would be able to find by investigating those college websites. Virtual programming, like this event this evening, are great opportunities for you to learn more about colleges. But one of the few benefits that came out of COVID is that almost all colleges and universities now have virtual information sessions on their websites. So you can find about doing immersive campus tours, information sessions, department information sessions. You don't have to go to just an admission session. You could go to a session just about their School of Engineering or their liberal arts college, learn about majors that might help you decide if those are majors that you would want to pursue in college. Virtual college fairs, you'll receive invitations about those and announcements through your high school, where you'll learn about different schools coming together for virtual college fairs. Chat rooms, YouTube videos, if you want to get a student perspective. All of our colleges, we have some great student vloggers on our campus sharing about their own campus life and freshman and dorm experiences and activities, and you can search those on YouTube. Also, social media. I encourage you to follow the different colleges you might be interested in on social media, on their Instagram accounts, learn more about them. They often have student takeovers, opportunities for you to learn about different majors and opportunities. So social media can be a great choice as well. And then regional and local area programs. I know a lot of you are in small towns, rural environments that maybe a lot of colleges don't come and visit your high school. But many of us will be doing collaborative travel. You'll hear about opportunities where in a neighboring community or the next closest town, there might be several of us colleges from the STARS network or from other organizations coming together so that you can come to an information session at a regional location and learn about several colleges in one evening. So we encourage you to take advantage of those opportunities as well. And if a college is visiting your high school, go to the visit. Even if that college isn't on your short list, you will learn a lot about the whole college information process just by going to a few of those visits, hearing what they have to say and seeing if what their information is resonates with you will help inform your college search. Next slide. Okay, making the most of college visits. Now, of course, one of the easiest ways for you to learn if a college feels like a good fit will be to be on their campus. We want you to think about what are the opportunities for you to get on those college campuses. Will your family be taking a vacation, a road trip, going to a family event, a reunion, a wedding, and the family's on the road, and maybe there's a college nearby that location where you're going to be headed, on the route where you're going to be headed, that you can stop and visit on the way. If there's any colleges anywhere near you, go visit. Even if you think, hey, I want to get out of this state, I want to go farther away, take the opportunity to visit some of those colleges. See whether you like a small school, a big school, some of those descriptors that Derek used in terms of being a land grant school or, smaller class sizes or bigger class sizes, even if it's not the college in the state that you're looking at. Many of our colleges will have opportunities for you to come to fly-ins, supportive programs, summer-based programs where you can come and spend a summer living in a dorm, getting an experience on a college campus and seeing if that college might be a good fit for you. We have open houses, campus tours. If you are going to visit a college, strongly encourage you to register in advance so that you have a reservation, they know you're coming. And a lot of times that can provide some additional benefits for you, whether it be a coupon at the bookstore or some lunch coupons, or even free parking, just to make sure that we know you're coming and give you all the information you need to have a successful visit. When you're on those campuses, take advantage of talking to current students, talk to faculty that you encounter, go to department information sessions or classroom visits, pick up the student newspaper or look at the bulletin boards to see what's being advertised and seeing if that college has the kind of culture and activities that you'd be interested in. And most importantly, take notes on your visit, think about what you liked and didn't like at each college campus, and take pictures. Use your phone, make a little photo file so that you remember. And if you visited several colleges in a day, I can tell you right now, that's going to be very important for you so that you can keep it straight later when you think, was that the college where I really liked that dorm or that quad or that library? So take some pictures, identify them in your photo file, and keep some notes so that you can compare those colleges as you move on down the process. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Trinidad so she can talk about some of the other options for you.
Thanks, Risa. So now you've heard a lot of great information about selecting your college, how to learn more about them, how to make the visit experience really beneficial and effective for you. But of course, another thing that comes into mix to do with match with the institute, but also making sure that you're in a good position to apply is academic preparedness. So it goes without saying, doing well in school is certainly important, but getting good grades is not the end of it. That's definitely not the only piece. Colleges also want to see that you're taking challenging classes during all 4 years and you're thriving in the context of your high school. And you're going to hear us say this word context a lot. And basically simple that means is that when we read the applications and we review your file, we get school profiles. So we're able to see what your school offers, what classes you're able to take. So if you're sitting here and listening to this thinking, oh, well, my school doesn't offer APs or my school doesn't offer the IB program, that's absolutely fine. That is absolutely something that will be taken into consideration consideration when reviewing it, because as I said, we review the students within the context of their high school. But even within the context of your high school, we want to know that you are finding avenues to challenge yourselves. And that's not always easy to find, right? And some of you may be navigating this whole process by yourself. And so one of the clear things is to understand is that it's okay to ask for help. And I think that's one of a life skill that's good to start learning now, is that not only is it okay to say I need help, but we actually encourage you to ask for help. Ask your teachers, ask your counselors, ask peers who've maybe gone on to study at colleges and universities that you're interested in. This will make the process so much easier for you, but it'll also help you find your advocates through the process, like developing relationships with your teachers who are going to be writing those letters of recommendation for you. It is a lot easier for somebody to advocate for a student and write those recommendation letters if they know you more than just a name next to a grade. And so sometimes reaching out is as simple as asking, I need help with understanding this. Or sometimes it'll be having open conversations with people about where you are in the college search process and how you can continue to develop as a strong academic. So developing these relationships is going to be really important. And I definitely know that on the heels of the pandemic, where some of you maybe have had a year or multiple years of learning in the Zoom world, I know that it's been very hard to make relationships with your teachers or your counselors. So this is also an encouragement that as you go back to school, even starting as early as tomorrow, think about who your advocates in the process are. Think about who are the individuals at your school or in your greater community that can help you navigate this process. But it can also just be a great tools for you to learn more about the college going experience and help you find resources and avenues to continue to grow as a young individual and as a young academic. At the end of the day, people in your school and people in your community are going to become your biggest advocates and supporters in the process. And so learn to utilize them early on. And that is really basically down to utilizing your resources available at your school or community. It's important to get help to get ahead. And so taking advantage of your school, but also the local community is wonderful. You can look at opportunities to continue to grow and challenge yourself outside of your high school, whether that's at the local community college, or maybe even think about getting a job. Or that could also be looking into tutoring, whether that again is in your local community, or as was already pointed out, one of the things that COVID brought us was the ability to have access to so many virtual resources that simply didn't exist before. So while in high school, definitely take the classes you need to take, but also take advantage of interesting learning opportunities that may be found outside of the classroom. Use your natural curiosity to guide wanting to take fun, interesting, and rigorous courses. So maybe there's a local community college offering advanced classes, or maybe they're even offering internships or research opportunities over the summer. There's no harm in looking into this and asking if these opportunities exist. So many schools and local community colleges and local businesses will be available to provide resources such as internships or research opportunities at their locations. And you might have never known that that was an option for you. But again, by asking for help, by developing relationships with those in the community, it'll really help you find these resources out. And so at the end of the day, what's really is important just to remember is take advantage of learning opportunities wherever you may find them. And so if you're worried that you're at a school that maybe doesn't have the IB or doesn't have AP classes, you can think about finding these opportunities to get those challenging classes outside, again, through a local community college, through dual enrollment, or utilizing online resources. And a great online resources that I would like to point out to you is definitely Khan Academy and Schoolhouse. One of the great things about this STARS network program is that it has a great connection with Schoolhouse that is actually includes lesson plans and SAT test prep that will help you prepare for enrolling in a rigorous college. Now, part of your homework in learning about the different colleges and institutions you're interested in applying to is also learning about what the academic bar really is to be a competitive applicant. And this is really going to change by schools. For example, MIT coming into quite a selective STEM-based institution, there's a lot of emphasis on physics and calculus. These are courses that we're really going to want to see you take. That might not be the same at other institutes, especially if you're looking not to study in the STEM fields. So again, doing your homework on the universities will also help you understand the kind of requirements that the schools are looking at. But for example, as I mentioned, through Schoolhouse, you can take a lot of rigorous courses that will help you prepare to apply to colleges. And these include lesson plans across several academic disciplines and SAT test prepping that you can take. But one area I'd certainly like to highlight, and that might be a biased opinion coming from MIT, is the math prep. Through Schoolhouse, supported by Khan Academy, there is a full online lesson plan to follow the full suite of math classes to really give you a great footing to apply for most selected engineering programs or STEM programs in the country. So through Khan Academy, you could take the actual classes, but what's amazing about Schoolhouse is actually this tutoring side to it. And I think that's what's really the vital resource from Schoolhouse, is this ability to get help and tutoring support as you're following these lessons plans. And the best thing about Schoolhouse is that it is a certified program. And at the end of the day, we want students to be prepared in any area that they want to go into. And for some of you, that may require calculus. And if your school doesn't offer that, you will be able to pursue that at Schoolhouse. And the certifications that you're given by following the program is enough to make admissions officers feel very comfortable and confident about your academic preparedness. So if you've been thinking about, oh, my school does not offer these advanced classes, you can head on over to the Schoolhouse website and really get started in the process of getting this additional academic prep. And it's very easy how to participate. You will create your Schoolhouse account by going to schoolhouse.world. You will then use the guided resource document to learn about Schoolhouse and Khan Academy, and then you'll submit your Schoolhouse portfolio in your college applications. So the website is all there to kind of walk you through the process, and it's very straightforward. So if you're feeling a little bit intimidated by researching and getting ahead of academically, do know that this is a wonderful resource that's available for you online that you can access whenever you like at your own time. And at the end of the day, the certification from Schoolhouse is a meaningful credential for all the STAR Network schools. So while it may not be a credit-bearing certificate, it is certainly something that we can put a weight on. So if you've never had exposure to calculus in high school, we in the admissions office will be able to see that you've had it through Schoolhouse and be willing to accept that and be very comfortable about your academic tech. And with the last point of kind of academic preparedness is also thinking about testing. It's good to start thinking about testing during your junior year as you advance in your college search, because you definitely don't want to leave it to the last minute. And it's true, while most schools and universities are not requiring the SAT or SATs, some of them do, MIT being one of them. And you really want to set yourself up for success, which is meaning starting early, giving yourself enough time to prep, to utilize the online resources like the Khan Academy to really be prepared to take and do well in these standardized tests. But obviously, grades and test scores are not the only thing. And I think that while grades and test scores are important, everything else is really what makes the difference. You know, most students applying to our institutes are academically well prepared. So how do we make the decision? Well, it's really looking at what students are doing outside of the classroom. How do they spend their free time? What do you like to do? Very simply. And I think this is one of the major questions I always get when I'm on the road from students and families alike is, what should I be pursuing? And at the end of the day, that is not a question I can answer, because our answer to that very simply is we want you to pursue things that excite you, that you're passionate about. We don't want you to be pursuing things simply to check a box off a college application. So if you're interested in something, join the relevant club at your school. And if it doesn't exist, create that club. That shows a ton of leadership, that shows a ton of initiative and enthusiasm for learning. But maybe you're not such a club goer. What you really like is sports. Then play sports and pursue that. A lot of our schools will have a varsity athletics, some of us Division I, some of us Division III, but for most of our institutes, our athletes make a good part of the student population. And that is a very reasonable thing to spend your free time doing. But that said, we also know that some students don't have as much time as others, and what's wonderful about the process of admissions that we practice is that we practice a holistic approach to admission. So again, here's that keyword context. We're going to look at you within your context. So maybe you're not involved in extracurricular activities because you need to babysit, or you have a job to help pay some of the family funds. And so that is actually viewed as an extracurricular, helping support your siblings, helping support your family by having a job. These are all things that we consider extracurricular activities. So whether that's a part-time job or whether you're doing community service, these are all wonderful ways that you can be utilizing your free time. And maybe you're a dancer or a singer or an actor, and that's what you love. And maybe you're also interested in the STEM fields, because at the end of the day, what I said before is we want you to pursue what you're passionate about. So if you want to continue to dance or continue to sing, but also want to think about majoring in physics, that's absolutely possible as well. Creative minds bring a lot to our institutes, and we definitely want you to continue to foster those interests when you come to our college campuses and share them with our communities. And learning a new language or coding or writing can also be a great enterprise. This really allows you to flex your creative muscles and really think about the world in a lens that maybe isn't focused on the sciences, right? And so learning a language, coding, writing, these are also great endeavors that you can choose to do in your free time. I know I've read a lot of students who've applied to college who are poets, who are budding writers and authors and playwrights, and it's so fascinating to see the work that they're doing. But most importantly is have fun with it, right? High school, yes, is about academics and it's about growing, but high school should also be fun. You should also be pursuing things that excite you. And those things that excite you and bring you joy, we want you to bring those to our campus. So the main thing is pursue things that you love. Just make sure that you're spending your free time effectively. And that's the main thing that matters.
I'm going to close us out with just a few final tips that we wanted to share with everyone. And I see some really good questions in the Q&A, so keep them coming because we're going to have a few minutes at the end to answer those as well. The first one, and I cannot stress this enough, is give yourself time. Sometimes when we do these sessions, I like to do a poll to see who here is in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, who's already in 12th grade and thinking about the next step. And I am so excited when I see those 9th and 10th graders in these sessions, because give yourself time. A lot of what we've been talking about in this college search process, it happens really early on. Those choices that you make in terms of curriculum and the classes that you take, a lot of that happens your freshman year. You get on these tracks that can be really important sometimes. So thinking about college is not just something that happens your senior year of high school. It's a whole culmination of your high school career. That's why we ask you to ask yourself those big questions, like, what do I want out of college? What do I want to do with my life? What do I want to be when I grow up? Those are hard questions. They're tough. But at the same time, give yourself time to grapple with those questions and those ideas and what you want to do. And also, you don't have to have it all figured out right now. You can still be in the process, but some of the best applications that we read are students who have really sat down and said, okay, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I think I want to do. I can be incredibly helpful in this process. It can be very self-reflective. Another tip that I have for students would be use your summers. We mentioned that you can visit college campuses during family vacations and things like that. I highly recommend to use your summers in a couple of different ways. So one is work experience. Maybe you need to work over the summer. That's great. Work experience builds a lot of skills, transferable skills that you will use throughout your life. Whether you're working at an ice cream shop over the summer, or you're working for a family business, or doing research or an internship or whatever it looks like, any work experience is incredibly helpful for building some transferable skills. Family travel, like I mentioned, go visit colleges. It doesn't matter if you're interested in that college or not. If there's one nearby, go check it out. Go see what it looks like. Go see what they offer. That's one of the best ways to figure out what you want and what you don't want out of college, is to go and see it for yourself. Because sometimes it's not clear until you show up and you're like, oh, that is not what I expected. Or that's not really how I want to spend the next 4 years of my life. Or you might show up on a college campus and be like, you're going to have to drag me away because I want to be here for the rest of my life. This is the place for me. Visiting can be really helpful. Family vacations, travel can do that. Summer programs can also do that. We've had a lot of questions in the chat and about the summer programs. The idea behind the summer programs is that each school will be hosting some sort of on-campus program over the next year. So it might not pop up immediately, but over the next year, they'll have fly-in programs or drive-in programs or summer programs where you can come and spend some time on their campuses. Those are by application only. So each school will have an application that you fill out, that they review, and they select a group of students. But hopefully we'll have a lot of different opportunities and options for students to choose from, so you can have a summer program experience. Finally, stay organized. One thing that colleges did was to try and make things easier was they created these things called consortium applications, which means that a bunch of different schools made it easier for you to apply to all of those schools at the same time with a click of a button. We'll learn a lot more about those during our mock application session on Wednesday, I believe that is, and you'll see common applications and coalition applications and things like that. So they made life easier that way. However, every school has different things you have to keep organized, whether it's requirements, deadlines, merit scholarships, all the different things. How many essays do they require? How many letters of recommendation? When is this application due? You have to keep a lot of different things organized. So stay organized in this process. It can only help you. Ask questions. Please ask questions of everybody that you meet. Ask your teachers, ask your parents, ask your friends. We have another session on Thursday with current college students who came from small town and rural high schools themselves. Ask them questions. There was a really good question in the Q&A about culture shock and the transition from a small town to a big school. The best people to ask are going to be those current college students who are going through right now and were in your shoes just a few years ago. So I highly encourage everyone to log into the Thursday session to ask questions. Finally, keep an open mind. I cannot stress this enough as well. Keep an open mind about what you want to major in, what you want to do, where you want to be. Don't cross schools off your list without really thinking about it. I think sometimes I say this because I went into the college search process with very little background, very little understanding of what I was kind of getting myself into or where I was applying. If you looked at my college list, it made no sense. A session like this would have been really helpful for me. But keep an open mind, because what the process is designed to do is help you find the best fit school for you. The best academic fit, social fit, financial fit, the best place that you're going to thrive and you're going to have a great 4 years. So finally, these are the sessions that I was talking about. I want to put them all here on one slide in case you're interested. You can register through starscollegenetwork.org for any or all of these. And we have a few prizes in mind for students who sign up. So one is for the school that has the most students who sign up and attend these sessions throughout the week. We're going to send prizes to everyone at that school. It's going to be really cool. And the other one is we're going to be sending a survey after the week. And if you fill out the survey, you might also qualify for a cool free prize. So there's lots of prizes in this process. Tune in, learn more, ask questions. That's what we're here for. And finally, this is the QR code. If you didn't want to type in the URL there, you can scan the QR code. There's lots of resources on there. The Schoolhouse website is available in the resource section on our website. So you can do a lot there. I see a 9th grader in the Q&A. Good job, Addison. I'm so proud of you. Perfect. So finally, we have just a few minutes here at the end that we wanted to answer some questions. I'm going to close us out of this presentation so we can see everyone. And let's see. I'm going to move into some really frequently asked questions. So the first one that I wanted to throw out there is, let's see. Okay, so this one's a little more geared towards MIT, but the question stands for all of us. So the question is, MIT recommends taking physics in high school. However, my high school didn't offer physics to me. That is not uncommon at a lot of rural or small town high schools. I self-studied AP Physics 1, but only got a 3. Will this negatively affect me? So the question is kind of, do you challenge yourself and maybe not do as well in that class that you wanted to? And self-studying is way beyond that. Or do you take the kind of safer route and you take a class where you know you're going to do well?
Yeah, so I'll jump in here since I think it is a little specific to MIT. So I think, when you're debating, should I take maybe the more straightforward route and settle with an A, or challenge myself and maybe risk that 3? I would say that taking the approach to challenging yourself is always what we're going to see. Beyond just the kind of academic prep, what shows us is a lot of initiative, a lot of enthusiasm for learning. You're the type of student who, can put their nose down to the grindstone and really hustle and get the work done. These are all really great things for us to know about a student. And I will just say out there publicly, and I know we're being recorded, is that we absolutely have admitted students who've gotten 3s on AP exams. And those are students who've taken the class, right? And so I think the fact that you've self-studied with no exposure to physics and managed to get a 3 on the exam, you kind of actually knocked it out of the park. So you're doing really well. What we are going to maybe pay a little bit closer attention to is your overall package, right? Now, if we're seeing a consistent trend, where you're getting those softer scores in the STEM fields, that might make us a little bit nervous, and I'm speaking specifically from an MIT lens here, because of our core institute requirements require students to take 2 semesters of calculus and physics, semester of chemistry and biology. If you're already kind of struggling across the board in these STEM fields now, it's only going to get harder at MIT. And we're trying to admit students to all of our institutes that are going to thrive where they are, not break some wonderful, enthusiastic students because they've never had exposure. So I think exposure is the key here. So that's excellent that you went and pursued that. And I would say keep on trucking along. And I would say that when we are missing physics, we will then focus a little bit closer on math prep, because if you're really good at math, and especially if you're taking those calculus classes and doing well, you're probably going to do well in physics.
Perfect. Thank you, Trinidad. That's great. The fact that you are self-studying, that you are challenging yourself, that is a really good sign. Our probably most popular question, and for a very good reason, is how are we defining rural, or am I rural is the question. And I wanted to throw that one to Derek real quick.
Yeah, it's definitely a great question. I could see how it could potentially be a little bit confusing for some students, but I think 2 things. First thing is, I know that a lot of us out of our institutions on the STARS network are using some of the data and statistics from the National Center for Educational Statistics. And there's an awesome map on there where you can actually look to see kind of where you're located and kind of what that designation might be in terms of a rural or small town. It might also be really beneficial for you to ask some of the institutions in this list that you might be interested in. Is the high school, is the community that I'm from, in your eyes, considered rural or small town as part of the STARS network? And just know that as kind of statistics change and research changes, those designations could change potentially as well. But those would be the 2 things that I would check: is look at the NCES information, and then feel free to reach out to us and ask us, hey, is where I'm living considered small or rural areas?
Perfect. The only thing I'll add to that is all of our virtual resources are available to every student.
Yes.
So webinars like this, Schoolhouse, Khan Academy, those are open to everyone. We want everyone to have the opportunity to take advantage of those resources, no matter where you're from. So please continue to take advantage of those. Where it is really going to make a big difference in terms of STARS programming will be the on-campus program. So that's why there is an application process for the on-campus programs, not to join STARS College Network in general. Anyone can join, anyone can sign up with the mailing list and log in for the resources. But for the specific on-campus programs on different college campuses, that's when we would start looking at the NCES data. So just throwing that one out there. A quick question that we had that is a great question is Schoolhouse free? So Risa, I don't think we've gone to you yet. So is Schoolhouse a free resource?
Yeah, all of the resources you're going to find on the website, the resources available are free to you to use. And again, just like Derek and Marjorie just said, if you don't fall into a category that says you are in a small or rural town, you can still take advantage of those resources. They're still available. So do take advantage of them. They're great. I saw one person in the chat asking if those were good resources to do test prep for SAT and ACT. So if you are planning to do that kind of test prep, they have great sessions on that. Strongly encourage you to also take advantage of the tutoring opportunities that are available there.
Perfect. And that is that time, actually. So we have a few more questions we haven't been able to get to. We will get to those, and we will email you those answers. So if you didn't get a chance to ask a question, send it to our mailbox. It's stars@starscollegenetwork.org. It's really easy. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Hopefully this was helpful. We really enjoyed it. And like I said, sign up for some more of the sessions the rest of this week and fill out the survey that we send at the end of the week, and you could get some free stars swag yourself. So thank you all. Thank you all to my panelists as well.